Okay, so in topic 5.4 here, we're going to be looking at the stakeholders in invention and innovation. And one of the most primary and important stakeholders, of course, would be the inventors, right? So here's a whole list of inventors that you probably know some of them. Thomas Edison, of course, the light bulb. Alexander Graham Bell invented the telephone. Nikola Tesla basically set up our electrical system. So if you think of the fact that we have AC electrical outlets, that's because of Nikola Tesla. Leonardo da Vinci needs no explanation. Henry Ford invented the Ford Motor Company. Wright brothers invented powered flight. Marconi invented the radio. Samuel Morse, he was the one who invented basically Morse code. And Charles Babbage. Charles Babbage is credited with inventing the first computer. It was a mechanical device, so it was, and it had. It's called the analytic engine, and it could calculate things. And basically, his discoveries then led to digital computers that we use today. So inventors are an important part of the process, right? Like they're primary stakeholders, but they're not the only ones. So let's look at some others. You might have somebody called a product champion. And this is especially in modern organizations. So this is like an influential individual who works within an organization and develops an enthusiasm for an idea or an invention and basically champions it. So champion in this case means that he's supporting it, he's pushing it along, and of course, you've got somebody like this guy who needs no introduction, and Steve Jobs basically pushed forward Apple in many, many, many ways. So an example of this would be, for instance, the iPhone. People, the person who sort of developed the idea for the iPhone had to have it was a great idea, but then Steve Jobs is the one who pushed that along into development and marketing and everything. So, without somebody like this, well, we may not have had the smartphone when we do. And there's countless examples of this kind of stuff where there'll be somebody within an organization who pushes that idea, and that person is a product champion. All right, you've got entrepreneurs. So an entrepreneur is an influential person who takes an invention to market, and often by financing and developing products and diffusion of a product into the marketplace. And so this is an individual, not an organization. So this is different than, say, a product champion, because an entrepreneur is really taking their own invention and making it into a success. The lady from Sugru is an example of this. So she invented Sugru, and then she pushed it to market, and so it's an example of that kind of thing where it was an entrepreneur that pushed it together. Now, generally, when you're looking at something that's entrepreneurial, generally we're looking at not very complex products, okay? Because that needs support from a larger organization, which we'll get to here. Okay, so let's look at the differences between an entrepreneur and a product champion. So an entrepreneur may not have business experience. They may have great ideas, they may be inventive, they may be a great designer, but they may not have the knowledge to do marketing. They may not have the knowledge to set prices correctly. They may not have the knowledge to do advertising and all the other things that it takes, acquiring materials, working at economies of scale, all that stuff that's the business side of it. So they may not have that. Now, a product champion may not be inventive. Steve Jobs knew a good idea when he saw it, but he wasn't necessarily the most inventive of guys. He just knew a good idea when he saw it, and he was able to push that forward. They're able to generate design ideas that are new and novel. So, that's a key characteristic of an entrepreneur, is they generate design ideas that are going to be successful in the marketplace, right? Now, a product champion might have a forceful personality within or sometimes outside of an organization, right? So they may be a forceful personality. And you can look at lots of people like this, if you think of the people that you think of as heads of companies, so Steve Jobs, Elon Musk, all those guys, Jeff Bezos, they're a forceful personality. They are a force to be reckoned with, and so they would be product champions. And they have they usually have the connections to push an idea forward, which an entrepreneur may not have. All right, now most products today are actually they come from a multidisciplinary approach to to innovation. So when we talk about multi means many, right? And discipline. A discipline is like a subject area. So you would say like, chemistry, for instance, is a discipline within science, or history is a discipline within humanities. So that a discipline is sort of like a subject area in school, but it's also just an area of knowledge. So we're looking at multidisciplinary approaches to innovation, and this is because most innovations require specific skill sets and actions to fulfill the roles, and the reasons inventors often take on multiple roles, right? So essentially, if you think about it, if you're inventing something, well, you may need to know a lot about metallurgy. You may need to know about marketing. You may need to know about price setting. You may need to know about laws about how do you build and manufacture and dispose. There's so many areas where you have to be you have to have specific knowledge in areas that most people don't have the wide breadth of knowledge. So inventors might have some of those, but not all of them. So effective design draws on multiple areas of expertise, and this can be utilized at different stages of the product development, right? Like all the way from the design all the way through to the end of life. So we would talk about, again, I just listed a whole bunch of them, but it could be anything from acquiring the raw materials. It could be anything from their, transportation, understanding how to get the raw materials to where they need to be. How do you get the component parts that are made from the raw materials to where they need to be? How do you have the best setup for manufacturing, like making sure the machines that you have are the most efficient? There's so many complicated steps to these things that it's really important to have more than one person working on a more complex invention. And as I said, most products are very complex and rely on expertise in various disciplines. Again, disciplines are sort of areas of knowledge. Most designs are developed in those multidisciplinary teams. If you think of a smartphone, a printer, scanner, they're very complex, right? Like there's so much that goes into them that you're not going to do it alone, and it requires knowledge from many disciplines. Okay, it would be very unlikely that a lone inventor would have the expertise in all of these disciplines. So I do want you to understand that. Okay, what are some advantages and disadvantages of the multidisciplinary approach? So an advantage is that when you have a team of people, you have a wide range of knowledge that others may, a lone person may not have considered. You have a wide range of expertise or backgrounds that cross-fertilize ideas. So this is, what they mean by cross-fertilization here is that when you have a group of diverse people who have knowledge in different areas of lots of different areas, well, they kind of spur each other on, and they will kind of help each other think in ways that they may not have thought of before, because maybe I don't know much about chemistry, but I need to think about the component parts in my design. Well, okay, a chemist might be able to give me ideas that I never thought of, right? A wide range of expertise or backgrounds, meaning that people look at ideas through different sets of lenses. This is actually, I read this really great book called The Wisdom of Crowds, and basically what they advocate in there is that you, when you're putting together a team, you have a diverse group of people so that you don't end up with something called groupthink. Groupthink is when everybody has a similar mindset, a similar sort of knowledge base, and they all think alike. So then it's very difficult to get good ideas that are outside of that sort of groupthink model. Now, some disadvantages would be that you got to share your ideas, and you may lose control or ownership of those ideas. So that can be a problem. Individuals may not be used to working in teams. It's hard to work in teams, right? We all know this if you ever worked with a partner. So it may be difficult to have somebody work in teams. You may have different working styles. You may have different speeds at which you do things, and so those can cause clashes. And there's always the chance of miscommunication. Okay, that's about stakeholders. Next time we're going to product life cycles. Thanks.